Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, and today I wanted to talk about this whole Sony Discovery situation on the PlayStation Store, how they are taking away 1,200 pieces of content. Now, I believe that most of these are television shows, reality television shows that were owned by Discovery. And of course, Discovery and Warner Brothers are kind of a entity together in entertainment. But for the purposes of this video, I talk about movies mostly on this channel, owning films that you love. So we're going to talk about this in the context, even though it's TV shows that got ripped away, we're going to talk about this in the context of film, owning movies, because if this could happen to TV shows, reality TV shows, then this could happen to movies, to video games, to regular television sitcoms. It could happen to anything. So we're going to dive deep into that today. Ownership of the things that you love. So I hope you're prepared for that. So this happened within the last few days. I saw everybody posting about this on social media, but basically Sony is taking away this content due to some kind of a licensing agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery. Not exactly sure what that disagreement is. Did they just lose the rights to it because they didn't want to pay for it? Did Warner Brothers Discovery just decide they didn't want to give it to Sony anymore? That part is unclear, but what is not unclear, you purchase these items at the end of the year, December the 31st, these are going to be taken away from you, ripped away from you by Sony. You are not going to have these anymore, regardless of the fact that you purchased them, and you are not going to be getting a refund for that. So that is clear. So I wanted to dive into that here today. But the message that the PlayStation people, we'll call them the PlayStation people, the Sony people, sent to everybody via email is, as of December the 31st, 2023, due to our content licensing arrangement with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and the content will be removed from your video library. And then it gives them a link to the full list of all the effective titles. So look, guys, here at the Mid-Level Media channel, if you're just now discovering me here, we talk about physical media. As you can tell behind me, we talk about movies, physical media, Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs sometimes. Yeah, I even have some VHS tapes. We talk about owning stuff physically, holding it in your hands, unboxing it, feeling it, putting it in your player. That's what we talk about on this channel. And I don't want to make this a streaming versus, physical, what's better than the other. I think most people can kind of determine that for themselves. But take the facts that we're looking at here, take what is going on in the world, and really look at it, really look at it, really analyze it, decide what kind of person you are and what kind of person you want to be, what's important to you, and then take that into consideration going forward with your purchases of movies. Do you want them digitally where they can just be taken from you at any time? Or do you want to actually purchase a physical copy that you can play, maybe not forever, because maybe the disc will rot in like 50 years. I don't know. It's undetermined what's going to happen to all these discs, if they're going to hold up. But you'll at least have it for the majority of the rest of your life. You'll have it for a lot longer than some of these streaming services. I can guarantee you that, because the rate that they're just kind of, maneuvering all their movies around to all the different services, licensing agreements changing and stuff, the rate that that's happening, it's like you buy something digitally, it's going to be ripped away from you in 2 years. I can guarantee you, if you buy a 4K, you're going to have that sucker for at least 20 to 30 to 40 years. So it's going to be a hell of a lot longer. You're going to get a lot more bang for your buck owning something physically than digitally, because I can just hear the disc rotter, conspiracy theorists out there right now. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Yeah, we talk about owning movies, ownership on this channel, but I am not against streaming. I watched a movie on Netflix before I came in here. Family Switch. It was like a Netflix original film. Watch it with my family. It was okay. It honestly wasn't that good. But I watch movies on streaming on Netflix, HBO Max. I've had Apple TV, Hulu, Amazon. I do all the streaming. There's nothing wrong with streaming. There's great movies on there. There's great original content that you can only watch on the streaming services. So I'm not against streaming at all. I watch all kinds of stuff on streaming, and I watch stuff on physical as well. Now, what I'm against is actually paying like full price to a streaming service, Vudu, PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, whatever you want to call it, whatever streaming service there are that you can actually purchase stuff, Amazon Prime, paying money, full price that I would pay to own one of these, to own something digitally, because something like this could happen. They could just take it from you at any moment's notice. So I am completely against that. But as for renting, as for, paying money monthly for a streaming service for access to movies and original content, I'm not against that at all. That's fine. I would just, again, strongly encourage you to take a look at what kind of a person you are, what kind of a film fan do you want to be? And do you want to buy stuff physically, or do you want to buy stuff digitally? And take a look at what the hell is going on right now. Because from my eyes, this is not the first time that this has happened. Am I wrong? That's what I thought. As soon as I saw everybody posting about this and making such a big deal about it, I was like, this has happened before, right? And I can't exactly remember the story where it happened before, but I'm pretty sure this happened before. Now, when I was looking up this article, because I read a whole article that Forbes put out, I did see another article from 2022 where this happened in other countries. I think Germany, Austria, where the PlayStation Store removed some content access from them as well. I was just kind of breezing that, so I don't know the full story. But I think this has happened before with the PlayStation Store in particular. But I think this has happened before just in general, with streaming services just taking, movies away. And they're not taking, it's not like they still own it and they're taking it from you. They're just losing the licensing agreement, which is going to happen, moving forward into the future. There's going to be more consolidations. There's going to be more deals that are being made. And this stuff is just going to maneuver itself around. It's going to get so convoluted and messy. You're not going to know who the hell owns what in 20 years. It's just going to be completely crazy. I get freaking messed up about who owns what nowadays. It's all completely crazy. Some people own the movies. Some people own the distribution rights. It's all nuts. And then there's different countries that have different rights, and it's all crazy. But the thing is, if you buy a movie, I'm just going to pull a random movie, guys. If you buy The Core, you all know this is one of my favorites. If you've been a subscriber to the channel, it's not really. I bashed this movie on 4K when it came out. I bought The Core this year in 2023, okay? And this is owned by Paramount. Now, in 5 years, it could be owned by Apple. It could be owned by Amazon. It could be owned by Twitter or X or whatever. It could be owned by a social media platform. I don't know, what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years. But it was owned by Paramount. It was put out by Paramount. I bought it. And now I have it forever. And this is a Paramount disc. I have this forever. It doesn't matter what happens to it, in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years. I have it. It doesn't matter what happens to it because I had this movie physically. So that's important to note, in this entire thing. And again, not trying to make this a streaming versus or digital streaming versus physical media. I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody, but I just want to say that if you are out there and you're buying stuff digitally, like I've been in the buying stuff digitally game for a long time. I used to play video games like crazy. I was a big time gamer in my 20s. And they started the whole buying stuff digitally back then, back in 2007, back in 2008. I remember buying games like Castle Crashers, Braid, Super Meat Boy. Like I remember there was all kinds of just downloadable only games, and you could buy cards at GameStop to put the codes in and get them that way. But they were downloadable only games. Now, some of those did come to disc eventually, but some of them just remained downloadable. And I remember thinking back then, what's going to happen to these games in 20, 30 years? I still have my Nintendo games. I still have my N64 games physically. What's going to happen to these games? Am I going to lose them? Now, as of right now, I have them downloaded on a hard drive on my Xbox 360, and that Xbox 360 is still okay. It's sitting over there. I actually played some of the games like a couple of months ago, so I'm still able to play those games because they're on my hard drive. No internet access is required. It doesn't matter if Xbox takes them away or not. They are downloaded into my hard drive. So that's important to note as well. But I remember thinking back then, like, what's going to happen in 20, 30 years? Am I going to have access to these games that I bought in 2008 and 2058, like I do still my Nintendo games? Am I going to have the same level of access? What happens if my, hard drive gets a virus or my Xbox just doesn't start anymore? Red rings or whatever. That was a big deal back in the day. Am I not going to be able to play these games anymore that I bought? And that's when I kind of slowed down a little bit on the digital buying and just focus more on collecting, games and physically. Now, I got out of gaming and got more into movies, when my kids are born, because I just don't have time to game anymore, guys. That was really all it was. It was that simple. I had kids, I had less time to play games, but I still wanted to enjoy a form of entertainment. So I've always loved movies my entire life, but I just got way more into film because I could just experience a lot more stuff, in a quicker amount of time. So I'm talking about a lot of different types of stuff here. But anyway, I knew back then when we were doing the entire digital thing that was a possibility. The thing that I don't understand is how, if you spent a bunch of money, like thousands of dollars, on buying digital movies, I just don't understand how you could be that stupid. That's just me being blunt. I don't understand how you didn't see this as a possibility. Now, if you bought 10 movies, digitally, and you're like, I don't care, if it gets taken away, whatever, that's fine. But like, how could you invest like all of your hard-earned money? Like, say that, like I said, the guy that bought 1,000 to 1,200 of these movies, there's somebody out there that did it. I just feel like there's somebody out there that did it. Let's say you're that guy and you spent that level of money on buying digital movies. I just don't understand. You should have known better, is the way that I think. You should have known better. So if you're upset right now because you lost all these movies from the PlayStation Store, I hope this is a lesson learned for real this time. And that, I'm not saying you'll go out tomorrow and buy a bunch of Blu-rays and stuff like that, but the movies that truly matter to you, you should own physical copies of while you still can, because we may not have the option, because we've gone full. We've got almost, and this is what I worry about, we've gone so far into the streaming stratosphere that there's like no turning back at this point. I don't even think that this is going to scare enough people away from buying stuff streaming. Or what I've been saying this entire time, it's not really physical media that's dying. It's movie fans that are dying. I don't believe that people that watch movies and TV shows now, the kids, the younger generation, I don't believe they care about movies and television shows like we did back in the 90s, the early 2000s, the 80s. I don't think they care in the same way. So as they get older, I believe that they're being taught to not care about owning stuff physically because it doesn't matter. Why own it? We're just move on to the next thing because there's just so much stuff that's coming. Just consume what's new, consume what's new, consume what's new. We're getting into an entirely different topic here, but this is just me ranting, rambling. It's going everywhere. But I do not believe that kids are going to care about ownership. Maybe not of anything, but we're just talking about movies here. Of movies, of TV shows, of music, of maybe even books. I do think that books are kind of special because they've been around for thousands of years, whereas movies and discs have not. So they have stood the test of time, and they probably will go a lot farther than discs, to be honest. I can see books going, thousands of more years, but, maybe physical media only goes 50 to 60. Who knows? But I think that people's ability to care about this kind of stuff is dwindling more and more every single year, and that's because there's so much of it and there's so many different types of it. Now we have YouTubers like me, people that get on TikTok, and stuff like that, and make videos and make content for people to watch. There's not just movies and TV anymore. There's people that make videos like this. There's people that make short videos on TikTok. There's Twitter. There's, just images and pictures to look at all day. There's so much flooding at you at all times, and it's just coming faster and faster and faster, and there's no stopping it. So I don't think that this, some people may perk up, the people that really care about film, be like, oh, maybe I should start buying some stuff that I love, physically. Maybe I shouldn't, buy stuff digitally anymore. Or some people may look at this as a one-off. They'll be like, you know what, that's PlayStation, it's its own thing. And I'm fine with Vudu. I don't think that Vudu would ever do that to me. And Vudu's pretty legit. Like, they're a big, organization, and they've been doing this for a long time. So maybe you are protected if you buy stuff from Vudu or Amazon Prime. But I just think that if this could happen to the PlayStation Store, this could happen to anybody across the board. So I think it's People say that I'm reckless with my money because I buy all this stuff. I'm a hoarder, some would say. Some people would say I'm reckless because I spend too much money on all this crap that's, you know, I'll maybe watch these movies one time and throw them back up on the shelf. I think it's even more reckless to just throw your money away on a streaming service and not really get anything back for it. But a 2-year, you know, ownership, partial ownership of a movie that they can just take away from you at any point in time. So yeah, it's a very interesting topic to go into. It's an evolving topic. I see this changing, you know, rapidly, you know, years to come. We're going to be talking about this, probably the same kind of stuff, but in an entirely different way in 2 years and 3 years and 4 years and 5 years. But I also wanted to get into a little bit of because this article brought it up, but the Christopher Nolan thing where he came out and said, buy Oppenheimer, you know, physically. You have a director, a big director, which actually made me 10 times the Christopher Nolan fan that I already was when I saw him make these statements, because not just because he did it and he's a director that cares, but because of his status. And I just think that him saying that like actually went a long way. And you can tell with the sales of Oppenheimer on 4K and Blu-ray, the thing sold out. The Steelbook sold out. The special edition sold out. It's hard to get on 4K and Blu-ray right now. Now, Universal is, of course, going back in and repressing and making more, but the demand is high for Oppenheimer. And I believe it's because he went out there and told people to buy this thing physically so an evil streaming service doesn't rip it away from you. And then what happens a week later? An evil streaming service rips away 1,200 movies from the PlayStation Store. So look, guys, it all comes down to, do you care about movies? Do you care about owning movies? Or are you just fine watching it once and then moving on? It's your level of care about film, about ownership, that is really going to factor into whether or not this affects you or not. Again, you could be perfectly fine. Maybe you lost 50 movies in this thing with PlayStation Store and you're fine with it because you watched them, you enjoyed them a couple of times, and it's all right. You'll just move on to the next thing. Or are you somebody that actually cares about owning these movies, preserving these movies in a collection, being able to have access to them for the rest of your life, you know, ideally at least. But that's it, guys. That's the video. Just me on here rambling about this whole PlayStation Store situation. I actually didn't see a lot of people. I saw a lot of people post about it. I didn't see a lot of videos about this, and maybe there will be by the time I put this up. But I didn't see a ton of videos about it, so I thought it was an interesting topic. I wanted to dive into it myself because I feel like I have a unique thought process and perspective on this whole thing. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because that's really the main reason I make these videos, is because I want to know what you guys are thinking, what you are feeling. So let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this whole thing with PlayStation Store and digital versus physical ownership. Let me know that in the comment section below. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We talk about all kinds of physical media. Look, if you're not sold on physical media, watch my channel for like 2 weeks and I will sell you on physical media, make you want to spend money on these incredible additions that I'm getting in right now. You're going to want to buy them. I'm telling you that right now. So get your bank accounts ready. But thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Turn on bell notifications for all future videos, and I'll see you next time.